Spring bronze, one of my favorite old school weather strippings. Why use spring bronze? Lasts forever. You'll see it on windows and doors that are 100+ years old. We're using them on all of our casement windows on this project, and so we thought we'd take this opportunity to show at least how I do it. These are the tools that I use, that I found to be most helpful. Obviously, you need a pair of metal snips. Next, needle nose pliers. Why needle nose pliers? You'll probably see during the process, but see these little nails? These little nails, these are all bronze nails, and you're going to end up hitting your hand guaranteed if you don't use these. So needle nose pliers. I use 2 hammers. This is an upholsterer's hammer. It's lightweight, it's got a little arch to it, and you'll see as we get around the hinges and the casements that this is what I use to get the nails started. Then once the nails are in, I use this along with a center punch to set the nails. So center punch, and why the long one? Again, you'll see when you get into some cramped corners, especially on the hinge side of a casement window, you need that extra length to, and I use this because if you use the hammer, you're going to end up dimpling the weather stripping and marking it up. So this is an automatic center punch. And let me show you what this does. So what I do is I cut my piece of weather stripping, and then I've got my my layout right here, and this center punch dimples the weather stripping so that when I go to put the weather stripping up, now I have to pre-drill. That's what this is. On this job, this is my 5th bit that I've gone through. I've broken 4 bits. And the reason is I have to pre-drill because this is 80, 90, 100-year-old Dade County pine that I'm drilling into. And in this area, it is like steel. So unless you want to be bending a lot of these and causing yourself a lot of extra time and grief, you got to pre-drill. So I use a 16th inch drill bit, and that's a little bit thinner than the nail, and I usually only drill maybe about a ½ inch. So anyway, the drill bit.
No, it's not black.
Here's our casement window. Beautiful. I love this pattern. But this is the window that we're going to be working on. By the way, miscellaneous pry bars. So this is very much like doing a door, and I'm weather stripping all 4 sides of this window. Weather stripping goes like this. The nails always go to the outside, and then the weather stripping flares, and when the window closes, you get a good seal. So I'm doing all 3, actually all 4 sides. I'm doing the sill also, and the sill will look like this. Now I know that there are some people that frown upon putting weather stripping into the sill area, but we want to get a good seal around these windows. And on the hinge side of the window, what do we do here? Do we run one continuous piece all the way down? Not recommended, because if you run a piece all the way down, you're covering your hinge. You don't want to do that, because if you ever have to take this hinge off or get access to the hinges, then it's too much trouble. So on this job, I've altered my methods, or at least the materials that I've used. This is V-shape bronze. This is what I've used in the past, right behind the hinge, just like this. Actually, no, just. I've used this V-shaped bronze in the past. It's worked okay. On this job, I thought I wanted to try something a little bit different. This is a lock strip. It's called a lock strip, typically used on a door where the latch locks into the door. Again, you don't want to run a whole piece to cover the strike plates, so this is used in that area. So what I do, basically I cut this in half and I put it behind the hinge. You'll see as we go through. I'll cut this in half and put about 6 inches. So you got about, these are 3-inch hinges, so you've got about 1.5 inches above, and then we'll overlap the spring bronze to the hinge location. This, when the window closes, now gets a good flexible seal behind the hinge. So we've got continuous seal, but you still have access to the hinge. They're 12-inch lock strips when you buy them, and I just cut them in half. And then I will pre-dimple them with my center punch. And I like to get a nice even spacing. And so you can see I've got, that's 5 nails. Basically, I just came in about 1/2 inch from each side, and then I eyeball it and get my spacing. So see this bag of nails? By the way, these nails are solid bronze, as is the weather stripping. They offer these nails copper plated. We're in Florida. Most of the work that I've done of this type is in a coastal environment. We're probably, what, 500 yards from Biscayne Bay? Mm-hmm. And so we're in an environment where you don't want any dissimilar metals. So, solid bronze nails. These bags come 350, I buy them 350 nails per bag. This is my 4th bag. Haven't broken into it yet. So on this job, do the math. 3 times 350 is what, 1,050? That's how many nails I've nailed so far on just, what, 9 windows? A lot of nails. So I'm going to start by measuring the top and the bottom. I put the heads and the sills on first, and I'll show you why. When I measure, I'm measuring, and I usually cut it a little long. Might be better. See how it has this little flat flange? That's where the nails go. So I keep that to the outside. I'm center punching these in the middle part of this flat area. And on this weather stripping, there's a little, you can see there's a little line down through here, and that's what I'm aiming for, to get my punch in that line. And then all I do is just follow my layout, and with this center punch, it makes this part of the tedious process a lot more efficient, and I think professional, because you've got a nice even nail spacing. The top weather stripping for me is always the most difficult, because you're working above your head, and sometimes I'm on a small step ladder right now, but what I'm aiming for in positioning this weather stripping is I don't want it tight to the inside stop. I want a little gap, because I don't want anything to impede the flaring of the weather stripping. So I eyeball it. And the other thing you're going to find if you ever work with spring bronze is that it has a natural arc to it. I don't know any other way to deal with it other than you can't bend it. You can't try to make it straight, because if you do, you're going to get a kink in it, and you don't want to kink this. Let it fall where it's going to naturally lie. So so what I do is, I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to get one nail in the end. All right, got one nail in. And by the way, when you're doing the spring bronze, do yourself a favor and never set the nails all the way until you have the weather stripping exactly where you want it and positioned properly. All right, okay, if you ever have to back one of these nails out, let me show you what I've found to be the best way. Let's say I needed to reposition this side of the weather stripping. I got it too tight or too far away, and I needed to back this nail out. Here's what I've found. I'll use my bullnose pliers and a stiff putty knife, because I don't know if you can get this or not, but there are ribs on these nails. Can you see that? No? Okay.
Not really. You can kind of see them.
Okay. All right. Anyway, there are ribs on the nails, and once you get it past a certain point, those ribs start acting as barbs almost. So I put my putty knife, I actually get my bullnose pliers, and I slip my putty knife underneath it to act as my protection, and then I will gently back the nail out, so I don't want to deform or misshape the weather stripping. I use an extension so that I can get a little better angle in getting those last. what I love about spring bronze, and that is its flexibility. So I'm going to close this. Okay, now if you'll notice the sill, see how it's tight here and how we have a larger gap over here. Now listen whenever you hear the window close. So it's making good contact over here, but as it comes along over here, we need to help it out a little bit. So with spring bronze, they call it spring bronze because it springs. And what you do is I'm using the round end of my punch. You can also use a stiff putty knife. But what you do is, if you follow this crease, and I'm gonna apply pressure here, and what you're gonna notice is this spring bronze is going to go like this. So you can adjust the weather stripping. So if it's tight in one place, you can flatten it out. If you need extra reach, then let's see if we can. Now, did you see it flare?
Yeah.
You can see, I mean, even if you just follow this line, you can see it's. So, I've flared it up quite a bit, especially, see now I've got a little belly in the weather stripping right here.
Yep.
So now I'm going to continue on down. It's magic. Okay, I can feel it. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to sneak up on this. I'm going to try to match this bevel on the weather stripping. Now notice I'm cutting back to the flat part. I'm not cutting a sharp angle. I'm just cutting from the point to All right, now we're going to do the hinge side, and we're going to do it in 3 pieces. It's going to be one piece up here that I will cut just shy of the hinge leaf, and then I'll bevel the top to mate as close as I can with this. Then there will be one straight piece in between the hinges, and then the 3rd piece from the hinge leaf down and then beveled. So, and that'll complete it. That way there's access to the hinges, but we have weather stripping behind, and you can see there will be about, what do we have here, Bob? About an inch and a quarter overlap.